To the 2018 Disruptive Innovation Festival. Thank you for joining. This is the world's largest online festival of ideas, which asks the question, what if we could redesign everything? Now, today we'll be exploring how blockchain has the potential to revolutionize dead stock in the fashion industry by stopping it from being burned or landfilled. And I'm really excited to introduce our two guests today from Queen of Raw, Stephanie and Corbin. Stephanie is the CEO and a corporate attorney turned fashion tech entrepreneur, and Corbin is the creative director of Queen of Raw, a marketplace that could help keep more than 2 million tons of textiles out of landfill by 2025. Welcome, Corbin and Stephanie.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. Great to be here. So we are here to talk about using blockchain to save fashion's dead stock. And I think to start, I'll just give you kind of a brief introduction about myself. Corbin will introduce himself a little bit, and then we'll jump right into it. And please feel free to leave any questions in the group chat, on Twitter, wherever. So my family has been in the fashion and textiles business for over 100 years. It started in 1896 when my great-grandfather actually came over on a ship from Austria. He landed at Ellis Island, and then he settled into the Lower East Side in New York. And he had to figure out how to make a living and how to provide for his family. So what did he do? He found materials and supplies nearby that people had brought over on the ship with them. He started creating fashion items by hand with minimal waste and minimal toxins because his bottom dollar depended on it. And he sold to local customers. And it was an incredibly profitable, successful business. And in many ways, it's what I look to with Queen of Raw. How do we take technology to get back to what my great-grandfather did? That is the epitome to me of a circular economy proposition, right? You find things nearby, create with minimal waste and minimal toxins, sell to local customers, it lasts for a long time, and then at the end of life, you repurpose and reuse it yet again. Of course, he didn't talk about it as sustainability or circular economy, but it very much was. It made economic and sustainable sense. So, you know, my vision with Queen of Raw is how do we use technology to get back to that? Because of course, today's supply chains around raw materials are so much more complicated. I'm sure if any of you are creating anything and have your own supply chain, it's hundreds of steps across the world, metric tons of water, chemicals, crops, oil used in the process. And of course, inevitably, a lot of waste, a lot of finished and finished goods just sitting there lost. So how do we make this circular economy proposition work for people, for planet, and for profit? So Corbin, I'll let him kind of introduce himself and why he joined me on Queen of Raw and our mission.
Hi guys, my name is Corbin. I've been working with Stephanie for about 4.5 years. This was an idea that she just tossed to me and we ran with it, and I was super excited to get involved. My role in this has been how to take this complicated idea of using blockchain to save dead stock to influence fashion in a circular way, and how to explain it with pictures, which has been so fun and challenging and exciting. And it's been really fun to tell the story. Basically, the biggest hurdle has been what we can't see. There's so many tons of fabric in warehouses and mills all over the world, and we're trying to market the idea that this is usable, readily available materials to the entire world without even knowing just exactly what we're working with. So it's exciting because there's so much more to be found.
But I didn't give you a hard challenge, did I?
No. It's been fun. It's been fun. But it's just crazy to realize how much waste there is, and how reallocating our efforts away from manufacturing to injecting jobs into influencing the circular economy and pushing that effort, how that's really the best solution and the best way to move forward. And then how are we going to use you know, images, stories, you know, interviews from around the world to push that agenda. It's been super fun though, and we've met incredible people doing it. So I'm having a blast.
And as we go through this, if you have any questions about the branding, the storytelling, and how to share this vision, Corbin's definitely the one to ask. So let's dive into it. What is the problem, right? Well, today, you may not know it, but over $120 billion, that's billion with a B, worth of excess fabric and raw materials, it's just sitting in warehouses around the world, collecting dust. And in a lot of instances, it's being burned or sent to landfill. And you may not realize in your own supply chains that you have this problem, but I promise you, if you take another look at your liabilities on your books and search some of your warehouses, there is more out there than you think. It's inevitable. And we can turn this problem into an opportunity. So it is a problem. It's a massive liability for all the factories around the world that are overproducing it, and for all the brands around the world who are overpurchasing it. And we know it kills the environment, and it drastically affects a business's bottom line. Many of you may have read the news recently, but obviously H&M this year is one example. They just had to burn $4.3 billion worth of perfectly good fabric and inventory, and it made front page news. So this problem really affects the brands, it affects the factories, it affects the mills, it affects retailers. It's a massive problem. But I also want to take a look at, why do these businesses have this problem in the first place, right? And we know that it happens, and the more that Corbin and I and our CTO kind of dug deeper with these clients, we realized that it's because it's managed by inaccurate data and records. We went to some of the world's biggest brands and we asked them to show us how they're kind of managing their stock and their inventory, both of raw materials and finished goods. And they showed us their inventory management system, which was an Excel spreadsheet.
It's paper.
It was on paper with a lot of hand notes, and it was different department to department.
And very incorrect.
It was riddled with errors, inevitably. And it's understandable. They're a big business. They're churning out more. They have to keep up with their customers and demand and make new. But at the same time, the more you compound all these errors over time, right, it costs you a lot of money. And it costs you a fortune, and you probably don't even know it.
And it's interesting because fashion always tends to want to be on the forefront of innovation, coming out with, the most cutting edge shapes or fabrics or textiles. But, once you remove the curtain, what's behind fashion is something that hasn't been touched in 80 years. They're still using pen to paper, this person who marked that, et cetera, et cetera. It's very backwards.
And it's resulted in fashion being, the textile industry, the second biggest polluter in the world.
Absolutely.
And this matters now, more, and we talk about this all the time, more than ever. Because brands across industries, like H&M, have actually signed commitments now. They are putting their stance behind sustainability. They've signed commitments to reduce their waste by 2030. Not too far away. But a lot of them don't know where to go and what to do. You've got this commitment. You're passionate about it now. You realize it's a problem. But what do you do? Where do you start?
Because they want to implement these ideas from the circular economy, but that you have to stop, take the lag, and gut for a second. But everyone has to keep moving forward for each quarter, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really, right, the best way to improve your numbers is to stop right now and implement and make the changes. And that's our mission.
And they really have to start now more than ever, because we've got a lot of changes going on in the laws around the world that I'll touch on briefly. And so if you as a company are creating, have a supply chain and are creating finished goods, whether it's in fashion or other industries, you could be exposing yourself to significant liability if you don't adopt some of these circular economy principles. We know that in France, especially, and growing in Europe, there are EPR policies. We have recycling laws that are being enforced now more than ever, including in New York, where if more than a certain % of your commercial waste is textile waste, no matter who you are or what you do, you are mandated, or you are going to face significant fines, and they are enforcing them. And a lot of people don't know that, but they're going to start to get hit with these bills, and then they're going to realize it. And of course, we've got what's going on in the globally with China and tariffs and trade wars. So where these raw materials sit, how you minimize that waste, what you're doing with them, matters for your bottom line and matters for, obviously, circular economy. So how did we tackle the problem? Well, initially, when my team and I kind of came together with this idea, which was just an idea on a napkin at a Starbucks a while ago, it was around a marketplace, right? So let's create a platform where all the businesses can sell in real time any of their excess inventory and monetize it better than current alternatives, right? You post it in real time, you list the wholesale price or a discounted price of what you paid for it, and you sell to our community of customers, and we do a lot of the kind of white glove services. People make that match between buyers and sellers, onboard their inventory, and get it sold in real time. That's kind of what we do.
Yeah, and creating a story for them to attach themselves to. I feel like with a lot of creatives, when they see new materials, they want to be inspired by something, especially people that have refocused fashion trends to start with design. We're trying to tell fashion, start with fabric, start with your textiles, and then let that shape your collection and your garments. And so initially, our marketplace was a place to get inspired, to see all these different textiles in these various amounts and find your match and create, whatever it is that you create. But it's grown so much more than that.
Yeah, and so we started looking and making these matches of buyers and sellers, and we realized that the demand is there. We were getting thousands of search requests a week for buyers who are coming to our platform. And, we should talk a little bit about who wants dead stock in the first place. Absolutely. Before we get even into the exciting blockchain piece. And that is, there is an active community out there. We thought originally that our marketplace would be great for small and medium-sized buyers, everyone from a student, a maker, a crafter, a tinkerer, all the way to like a medium-sized brand who has a few years underway, a few collections underway. They're not quite big enough to go directly to a factory and source fabrics, but they're too small to go to a fabric.com or Absolutely. Alibaba. So we were a great place for them to find this stuff. And we realized more and more that, we needed to build some tools to kind of optimize and supercharge what was going on in a marketplace, because a marketplace is great for you to monetize your existing waste, but that doesn't tell you how to minimize that waste in the future, right? And it's something we always talk to our customers about. When we go to these suppliers and we see their warehouses full of stuff, we want to sell that, obviously, yes. Diverting it from landfill. Little known fact I'll just throw in, one t-shirt takes 700 gallons of water to produce and 700 gallons of water to wash it in its lifetime, and 1/3 of a pound of chemicals to produce. So that's 1,400 gallons of water and 1/3 of a pound of chemicals for one shirt. And 2 billion shirts are sold worldwide in the year. So it is a kind of a massive problem when we're looking at these warehouses and we're seeing all of this waste. Yes, we want to sell it in our marketplace, but really we need to just figure out how do we help them minimize this waste going forward.
And I don't know, have we done a good job of explaining why it's become waste? Because I know that gets confusing for people at times. There's absolutely, positively nothing wrong with these textiles or raw materials. They're beautiful, they're perfect, they're just simply excess, or they were misplaced and lost in the Excel spreadsheet. So it's perfectly, dead stock is perfectly usable goods. That there's nothing wrong. They're just either they've been lost or they're older, et cetera, et cetera. That always confuses me, so I wanted to jump in.
Very, very good point. So let's get into what we're really here to talk about as well, which is using blockchain to save fashion's dead stock. And it turns out that using blockchain was the technology solution that was going to allow us to help you and your business minimize those waste streams going forward, get off of those Excel spreadsheets riddled with error, and get in a digital solution everything you need in real time to prevent having that waste going forward. So before we dive into kind of the solution we built, I thought it made sense to chat a little bit about what blockchain is, because so many people, it's a buzzword out there, but they don't understand what it is. So for those of you who don't, when you think of blockchain, a lot of people think of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, ICOs, loyalty tokens. Those are kind of uses of blockchain technology, and they're great, and it's gotten a lot of buzz, but that's not what we're doing here. I'm really interested in the underlying technology that is what allows cryptocurrencies to exist, and that is blockchain technology. So what is it? Blockchain technology is basically allowing certain information to attach to a product that exists in the digital sphere. So let me boil that down. We have products on our marketplace, right? Like 100% cotton. That digital product comes from somewhere. It was made somehow. It has a certain price ascribed to it. It's composed of certain things. All that information can be attached like blocks in a chain to that digital product, that 100% cotton on our platform. And that information, those blocks in the chain, can never be altered, ripped apart, broken apart, hacked, or stolen from that digital product. So you know that what it says it is, and you also know who gave you that authenticating information. You know the factory that originated the product, with the sheep in the field who actually sheared the wool. They blockchain enable certain information. The brand who bought it puts in certain information. Your entire community and supply chain basically is providing information like blocks in the chain about that digital product. And why do we care? You care because you're able to get so much more information about that product when you know what's going on in real time, and all of the people along the supply chain are putting that information.
Which ultimately, having that information retains so much more of the value of each product. If you find 100 yards of something in the back of a warehouse and you don't know what it is, there's no tag, no whatever, yeah, perfect, put it on the truck, get rid of it, we don't need it. But if you know this came from here, this was sold at this price at this time, it was used for these products associated with this brand, and then sold and moved here, you can see, oh, there's an insane amount of value here. It was used there, and this was really popular then, and I feel like it really gives each product, each material, the best chance of what it was originally made for, instead of getting burned or buried.
Absolutely. So how does it work? We have a platform, which is what we've been using on Queen of Raw, but we are now going to be made available to other businesses because we've realized the power of what it can do for you and your business, both for people, for planet, and for your profit. So through our platform, which I'll do a quick demo shortly, but you're able to add inventory, any of your dead stock, waste, unused fabrics, quickly and easily, straight from your phone. Literally drag and drop, take a picture of it on your phone, drag and drop certain functionality about it. It's composed of this, I have this amount of inventory, it's located in this warehouse. Click a button and blockchain enable it, meaning making sure that that information will always exist with that digital product, and that you, by putting this information in, are certifying that about the product. So then you're allowed, in our platform, you can add certain users, which would be the key people in your supply chain. Any of your factories, any of your mills, any of your shippers, any of your suppliers, anybody making this into finished goods, you can allow them to be added to users to that specific product. And then as the good moves along the chain around the world and certain things happen to it, they too can click a button on their phone, add certain information, post it to that product, and again, it creates another link in the chain. So the beauty of it is that you know, and in real time, what your community and your supply chain are doing with this stuff. And it also, in addition to helping you, as Corbin spoke about, you get more trust, you get more accuracy, you also get to find out who the bad actors are in your supply chain. And inevitably, there are bad actors, yes, and people doing things wrong. And this brings this to light. Because, for example, let's say you have 50,000 yards of that, 100% cotton, and you ship it, and it goes to a certain factory. And then that factory turns 40,000 of those 50,000 yards into finished goods. And then they go ship those finished goods, and they blockchain enable a record of it. You, as the brand or the company who's looking at the supply chain, you see that they were sent 50,000 yards. They only used 40,000 yards. What happened to those 10,000 yards, right? And that's where, because of blockchain, you can track and see there's a hole. Let me go talk to them. Let me find out what's going on. Was there a mistake? What do I need to know more information?
This is not an uncommon problem, because I feel like because of the manufacturing's resistance to technology and the advances that have been made in this, you see companies who've gotten away with a lot of just misinformation, of holding materials, of misallocating, et cetera, et cetera. So it really is. I do think this will help tighten the industry. Also, what's exciting is that it creates reports so that you're constantly becoming more efficient and more circular with your supply chain. I think that's my favorite part about what we're working on.
Well, perfect segue, because now I'm going to show you a quick snapshot. So if you as a business are logged into our platform and are using it, I'm going to show you what the dashboard can do, so you can start to understand in real time both the sustainable and circular economy proposition and benefits, as well as the business economic benefits. So we'll do screen share. And now you can see our dashboard. So if the company, for example, here we're Queen of Raw, we have posted in here our dead stock unused materials, and it's telling us the total amount of water conserved, total amount of chemicals saved, total amount of yards of textiles that we've renewed, and how many different SKUs and selections we have available. It will chart it month over month, so you're able to see in real time, do I have certain months where I'm using more or using less? Are my numbers going up? Are they going down? And actually click into a monthly report. The idea being you can use this information to deliver to the people in your business, the C-level executives, your investors, real-time information about what's going on in your supply chain, both from a sustainable perspective and a business perspective. Perhaps even more powerfully, it shows you kind of your savings. It tells you month over month and in a 12-month trend how much money you've actually saved by selling your dead stock on this platform, also buying dead stock on this platform, and then looking at your supply chain and finding the holes and opportunities and minimizing those waste streams. It gives you your cumulative savings over time, which of course you hope keeps going up. And you can actually be like an H&M, put in a tracker that by 2030, we want to save X amount of dollars and X amount of yards. And it can give you those real-time reports of if you're on track to meet those goals or not. That's the information they need. They need Absolutely. To know, how do I meet your goals? Well, here's a platform and one way to do that, but am I actually going to meet my goals? And here's the way to keep track month over month with your team. And then it also gives you a geographic breakdown in real time of where your raw material inventory sits in your supply chain, what parts of the world. So, and you can click into a region and find out more details. So, am I impacted in certain regions of the world more than others? Is my inventory moving in the places where it should be? Am I being as efficient as I should be? That's just a quick snapshot of some of what the dashboard can do. There's a lot more tools and opportunities here that we can dive into later, but I wanted to give you a teaser so you can see just what the opportunities are here. And now let's stop screen sharing. So, we've gone into a lot about, obviously, talking now about blockchain and supply chain. I think the thing that just noting is that blockchain is a buzzword, but again, it just happens to be the technology tools in circular economy and supply chain that is going to deliver the results Absolutely. That you need. We've been fortunate to have been kind of recognized for our work because, as they mentioned, we are on track by 2025 to keep some massive numbers of textiles out of landfill and save over 4 billion gallons of water.
And but the way we're going to accomplish that is by, the more we educate people, the more we get people on board, the more people understand that circular economy is not a confusing term that applies, only in the newspaper or to, scientists or etc. It's every decision that you make at home. It's about how you use the products, how you reuse your products, what you're spending your money on, where you're placing your dollars, and then and how you affect your community. So our goal is to get anyone who makes anything to think about using reclaimed materials, dead stock materials, or how to keep manufacturing at bay, because there is so much in the world already.
And before we jump into questions, it's just worth noting that, of course, we've talked a lot about this in the fashion industry. That is where we've started this platform. But I think the bigger picture has always been, how do we apply this across industries, right? Absolutely. We've already are in conversations and talking to, food waste and beverage waste. We're looking at automotive industry, computer electronics, interior design, construction. And when those industries can start cross-communicating and collaborating too, you're going to see real-time numbers and results. And, so we're proud to be a member of launch.org with NASA, Nike, IKEA, and Dell. We just won the grand prize of the WeWork Creator Award. So WeWork and Ashton Kutcher invested in us. And, this is truly just the beginning. We're here to help you and happy to take any questions and dive deeper into anything.
Thanks, Stephanie and Corbin. Wow, what a incredible product. Looking through that dashboard just there, all the detail-rich information that you can give to these companies is incredible. So we do actually have a couple of questions coming in. One we have, which we've touched on a little bit just now, about expanding to other sectors apart from in fabric. What do you think other businesses can learn from this? Can it be applied? And what would that look like?
Without a question. Take, for example, Chrysler. They make limited edition eco-friendly cars and they want them to have a fashion-forward focus. Imagine them using fashion fabrics for the interiors of their cars, but out of dead stock, high quality, discount prices, and we can find inventory right where they're manufacturing the cars, so they don't even have to ship this stuff. I mean, wouldn't that be the ideal business use case for them for their cars? And that's just one example of what this could look like.
I feel like, oh, I'm so sorry.
No.
Okay. So for me, I'm from Texas, and my dad is a contractor, and he grew up doing construction, so my mind immediately goes to that. And getting materials to the work site from various different companies who are working on different things, it was always so complicated. Materials never arrived on time, or there was less, or there was more, or they were moving, or they were gone. And I just think about taking the platform that we're working on and about to make available and applying it to something like that, where every single material that is needed for this project is listed and leaves each store and is on its way to a work site. It's noted in the system. When it's been used for its purpose in the building, it's noted in the system, so that you could minimize waste in that,
and know in real time
exactly
where everything is and what it costs. And the idea is, this sounds like a big undertaking, and the functionality of the data and analytics and the technology, we've taken care of that. So this can all be done from your phone. It's quick, easy, and cost effective.
It does almost sound a bit like a matchmaking site, using essentially quite a complex technology at its underlayer, blockchain, to really provide the simple, effective, and no-brainer solution to some massive problem in the fashion industry and all industries, really.
Absolutely.
So we've also talked a little bit about businesses and how they are kind of coming to it. But what if someone watching at home has some dead stock, or wants to buy some dead stock, or knows of, what can they do? How can someone at home get involved?
Sure. I mean, obviously, the platform we showed is a robust tool and is targeted more in the B2B and for larger brands and businesses. But there's nothing to say that you as an individual can't participate in this movement. Queenofraw.com itself is an open source. It is free to list. You're sitting on unused inventory. You are welcome and please encouraged to click that button on the bottom right of queenofraw.com that says apply to be a seller. Notifies us. We'll have a quick conversation with you, and then you can post in real time and get your stuff sold. And that's just one way that you can start to make a difference. We'll give you back all of the metrics on the water, the toxins, and the energy saved. But you're even just selling a few yards on our platform and keeping that out of landfill. You know, never doubt that, you know, you can change the world, and that this one small piece can make a difference. It also plays out a little bit to thinking about your behaviors. We take a very broad view of sustainability and circular economy. So any small thing can make a difference, whether it's buying that one less t-shirt a year, or going to vintage shops and buying things that are recycled, reused, or repurposing something that maybe is broken in one, in one way, could be for another purpose. Simple little solutions that have a massive impact.
I think that as we innovate and as we continue to grow, the biggest impact is going to be, which is going to empower people who say, I only, I have a few yards of something left over, is this really, no, it really is a big decision. It's a big help. As we localize this, as we are able to provide everyone in an immediate community the knowledge of what's around them in excess, and being able, with advancements in transportation and being able to move goods all over the place. It was so exciting, it was so great, but now it's too much. So now if we can use technology to cut that back and say, this is what's available around you, so that we don't have to use that transportation, it's not as hard on the earth, then we can save so many materials and keep them, as your grandfather did. What's around us.
Yeah, and sorry, FedEx and UPS and DHL, but that also cuts down on your shipping, customs, duties, and taxes.
Exactly.
So, it could be powerful.
Powerful, but also important when taking that systems view, that you do think about the things about how these materials are going to be transported and what impact that has.
Absolutely. No, our system accounts for that. If you are shipping, part of that map is knowing what the impact of that is. Yeah. And also the business side of that. It costs money to move these things back and forth. And it's a very inefficient, kind of old school way of doing things that can and will be improved.
Brilliant. And so that's all the questions we've got online. And it looks like we're coming up to the end of this session. So Stephanie and Corbin, a massive thank you for coming and talking to us about Queen of Raw and showing us what it seems like a really, really exciting platform. I mean, I know I've already mentioned this, but having some of the technologies we have available today and applying them to problems to really create this effective and simple solution, I think is something that is hugely exciting. So I'm personally, and I'm sure everyone watching at home is excited to see what's going to happen in the future of Queen of Raw.
Thank you. Thank you, Ellen.
If anyone at home wants to get in touch or wants to find out a bit more, where should they go?
You can go to queenofraw.com, but you're also always free to email us or call us directly. I'm at Stephanie, STEPHANIE at queenofraw.com.
I'm Corbin at queenofraw.com, CORBIN.
Yep, please, anytime. We're here to help.
Brilliant. Well, once again, thank you so much. And everyone at home, thank you for joining in and telling us your questions. Right after this session, if you want to watch some more fashion-related events, at 5 p.m., we're going to continue the conversation with some members of the Make Fashion Circular initiative who will be joining us live in the studio to talk about what the future of the fashion industry might look like by applying the principles of circular economy. So that's one not to miss. And also, if you haven't yet, we have our DIF-umentary, which is our feature-length documentary made for the DIF called Systems Reset. And that's definitely one to go and check out. Thanks again, everyone at home. Stephanie, Corbin, thanks again, and goodbye.
Thanks.